What if one country could take you from glowing underground galaxies to towering glaciers, from volcanoes that still breathe to fjords, so dramatic they barely seem real? Most people think they know New Zealand, but beyond the famous movie landscapes lies a world far more extraordinary than postcards can capture. In this journey, we'll explore 10 of the country's most breathtaking destinations, uncover the stories hidden within them, and discover why this remote corner of the South Pacific is considered one of the most spectacular places on Earth. Some of these landscapes have inspired legends. Others have challenged explorers, filmmakers, and adventurers for generations. And a few are so incredible, they almost feel impossible. So before you decide which destination deserves the top spot on your own bucket list, let's begin where every unforgettable journey through New Zealand starts. Before New Zealand reveals its glaciers, volcanoes, and breathtaking fjords, every unforgettable journey begins in Auckland, resting between the Pacific Ocean and the Tasman Sea. This vibrant harbour city offers the perfect introduction to a country where nature and modern life exist side by side. As morning light spreads across Waite, Mata Harbour sailboats drift quietly over calm waters while ferries glide toward nearby islands. Along the waterfront cafés, awakened joggers follow the coastal paths and locals paddle kayaks beneath the city's iconic skyline. Even in New Zealand's largest city, life moves to the rhythm of the sea. Overlooking it all is Mount Eden, an ancient volcanic cone that reminds visitors of the powerful forces that shaped this land thousands of years ago. Native Tui and Kereroo birds fill the parks with song, while dolphins, and on rare occasions, even orcas, can be spotted in the surrounding waters. As the sun sets, golden light dances across thousands of anchored yachts, revealing why Auckland is proudly known as the City of Sails. It is here, where two great oceans meet, that New Zealand's extraordinary journey truly begins. Leaving behind Auckland's bustling waterfront, the landscape begins to soften. Rolling green hills stretch endlessly across the Waikato countryside until, almost without warning, a village that once existed only in imagination quietly appears. Hobbiton is more than a famous movie set. Long before cameras arrived, this peaceful sheep farm was known for its gentle hills and fertile land. Today, dozens of charming hobbit holes blend so naturally into the landscape that they seem as though they have always belonged here. Round doors, painted in cheerful colors, tiny gardens bursting with flowers, and winding stone paths invite visitors into a world where time feels wonderfully unhurried. The village is alive with quiet details. Gardeners carefully tend vegetables and blooming flowers just as they did during filming, while guides share stories that blur the line between cinema and reality. Nearby sheep graze lazily across emerald pastures. Ducks paddle through quiet ponds, and birdsong drifts across the hills, creating an atmosphere that feels remarkably authentic rather than staged. Inside the welcoming Green Dragon Inn, the warmth of timber beams and the glow of a crackling fireplace offer a glimpse into the simple charm that made Middle-earth unforgettable. Every corner, every pathway, and every weathered fence seems to carry the spirit of adventure. As the sun sinks behind the hills, golden light washes over the tiny round doors one last time. It becomes easy to understand why millions of travelers come here each year, not simply to revisit a beloved film, but to experience a place where fantasy and the New Zealand countryside exist in perfect harmony. The journey continues beneath the surface, where daylight slowly disappears and silence takes over. Hidden beneath the rolling hills of the North Island lies a world that has been forming for millions of years, one unlike anywhere else on Earth. Waitomo's limestone caves were carved drop by drop as underground rivers patiently shaped vast chambers and winding passages through solid rock. But it is what hangs above that leaves visitors speechless. Thousands of tiny glowworms cling to the cave ceiling, each emitting a soft blue light that transforms the darkness into what looks like a sky filled with countless stars. Visitors drift quietly through the caves in small boats, guided only by the gentle current. There is no engine, no conversation, just the faint sound of dripping water echoing through the darkness. The stillness makes every glowing light seem even more magical, as if the cave itself were breathing. Beyond their beauty, these glowworms are found almost exclusively in New Zealand. Their delicate light is part of an extraordinary survival strategy, attracting tiny insects into fine silk threads suspended from the cave ceiling. It is a reminder that even the smallest creatures can create one of nature's greatest spectacles. As daylight returns at the cave entrance, the sparkling underground sky slowly fades behind you. Yet the memory remains a place where darkness does not conceal beauty, but reveals it in the most unforgettable way. Long before Rotorua became one of New Zealand's most visited destinations, the land had already been telling its story. Here, the earth is alive. Steam rises from cracks in the ground. Boiling mud bubbles endlessly, and the scent of sulfur lingers in the air, a reminder that powerful volcanic forces are still at work beneath your feet. Every step through, Rotorua feels different. Clouds of steam drift across colorful mineral terraces, while towering geysers suddenly erupt high into the sky, sending thousands of liters of boiling water into the air. It's a landscape shaped not by rivers or glaciers, but by the restless energy hidden deep below the surface. For centuries, the Māori people have lived alongside these geothermal wonders, turning nature's power into part of everyday life. Hot springs have long been used for cooking, bathing, and healing, while traditional songs, wood carvings, and cultural performances continue to keep their heritage alive for new generations. Beyond the steam fields, native forests provide a home for some of New Zealand's most remarkable wildlife. The elusive kiwi, the curious kaka, and the melodic tui all thrive in these protected landscapes, adding another layer of life to a region already filled with natural drama. Rotorua is a place where fire, water, and culture exist side by side. Few destinations reveal the heartbeat of New Zealand more vividly, where the land itself seems to breathe, reminding every visitor that nature is never truly at rest. The farther south the journey leads, the greener valleys slowly give way to a harsher landscape. Forests fade into ancient lava fields, emerald lakes appear between black volcanic slopes, and towering peaks rise from the heart of the North Island like silent guardians of another world. Tongariro National Park is New Zealand's oldest national park and a place where nature and Māori culture are inseparable. For the Māori people, these mountains are sacred ancestors carrying stories that have been passed down for generations. Every trail crosses not only volcanic terrain, but also a landscape rich with spiritual meaning. Hikers from around the world come to experience the famous Tongariro Alpine Crossing, often described as one of the greatest day hikes on Earth. They climb over rugged craters, follow ridgelines carved by ancient eruptions, and pause above the brilliant emerald lakes whose vivid colors seem almost too perfect to be real. Even in this rugged environment, life finds a way to flourish. Here, the world's only alpine parrot glide effortlessly above rocky cliffs, while New Zealand falcons patrol the open skies. Hardy alpine plants cling to volcanic soil, surviving where few others can. Clouds drift across the peaks, changing the landscape from one moment to the next. Here, every gust of wind, every layer of mist, and every volcanic ridge reminds visitors that New Zealand is still being shaped by the same powerful forces that created these islands millions of years ago. Few places on Earth bring together two completely different worlds, quite like Franz Josef Glacier. Here, a river of ancient ice slowly descends from the Southern Alps, while dense, temperate rainforest flourishes almost at its edge, a rare meeting of frozen wilderness and vibrant green life. The glacier has been moving for thousands of years, carving valleys and shaping the landscape, one slow step at a time. Although it now retreats as the climate changes, its towering walls of blue ice remain an unforgettable sight, revealing layers of snow compressed over centuries into crystal clear ice. Exploring Franz Josef is an adventure unlike any other. Some visitors hike through lush forests before reaching the glacier's icy face, while others soar above it by helicopter, landing on a world of frozen ridges, deep crevasses, and shimmering ice caves hidden high in the mountains. Even in this harsh environment, nature quietly thrives. Here, New Zealand's playful alpine parrots circle overhead, while native birds call from the rainforest below. As mist rolls through the valleys and waterfalls tumble from the cliffs, the contrast between ice and forest becomes even more extraordinary. Franz Josef Glacier is more than a spectacular landscape. It is a reminder that nature is constantly changing, sculpting the world over thousands of years. Standing between ancient ice and ancient forest, you witness two powerful forces existing side by side, each telling a different chapter of New Zealand's remarkable story. Beyond the glaciers, the mountains rise even higher. Roads wind through wide alpine valleys until Aoraki, Mount Cook, suddenly dominates the horizon, its snow-covered summit standing above every other peak in New Zealand. At 724 meters, it is more than the country's highest mountain. It is a symbol of its wild, untamed heart. To the Maori people, Aoraki is deeply sacred. According to ancient legend, the mountain was once a young ancestor whose canoe turned to stone, creating the towering peaks of the Southern Alps. Even today, the landscape carries a quiet sense of reverence that reaches far beyond its breathtaking scenery. Trails weave through alpine meadows, across swinging bridges, and beside glacial rivers that sparkle beneath the sun. Hikers pause often, not because the climb is difficult, but because every turn reveals another unforgettable view. High above, hardy Key glide between rocky cliffs, while Himalayan tar carefully navigates slopes that seem almost impossible to climb. When darkness falls, the mountains reveal an entirely different spectacle. Free from city lights, the surrounding Mackenzie Basin becomes one of the world's largest international dark sky reserves. Thousands of stars fill the night, and on clear evenings, the Milky Way stretches across the sky with breathtaking clarity. Standing beneath Aoraki, it is easy to feel wonderfully small. Between towering peaks, ancient legends, and a sky overflowing with stars. This is a place where nature reminds us just how vast and how extraordinary our world truly is. The mountains slowly fall behind, giving way to two lakes so brilliantly blue that they seem almost unreal. Fed by ancient glaciers, Lake Tekapo and Lake Pukaki owe their remarkable color to tiny particles of finely ground rock suspended in the water, reflecting sunlight in shades of turquoise found in few other places on Earth. Along the shoreline, the pace of life slows naturally. Travelers pause to photograph the ever-changing reflections. Cyclists follow quiet lakeside roads, and horseback riders cross open grasslands where the Southern Alps remain visible on the horizon. Black swans glide effortlessly across the calm surface, while paradise shell ducks and other native water birds gather along the water's edge. In spring and summer, colorful lupin flowers bloom across the lake shores, creating one of New Zealand's most photographed landscapes. Nearby, the small church of the Good Shepherd stands alone against the vast backdrop, reminding visitors that sometimes the simplest places leave the deepest impression. But Lake Tekapo reveals its greatest beauty after sunset. As darkness settles over the Mackenzie Basin, the sky comes alive with countless stars, protected from light pollution. This region is part of one of the world's largest international dark sky reserves, where the Milky Way stretches brilliantly from horizon to horizon. Here, the boundary between earth and sky begins to disappear. Crystal clear waters mirror the stars above, creating a scene so peaceful that time itself seems to slow, inviting every traveler to simply stop, look up, and take it all in. If New Zealand has a capital of adventure, it is here, cradled between the crystal-clear waters of Lake Wakatipu and the towering peaks of the Southern Alps. Queenstown is a place where breathtaking scenery and adrenaline exist side by side. From the moment the day begins, the town comes alive. Speedboats race across the lake, paragliders float high above the mountains, and hikers disappear into trails leading toward endless alpine landscapes. For those seeking an even greater thrill, Queenstown is known as the birthplace of commercial bungee jumping, where courage is tested against one of the world's most spectacular backdrops. Just beyond the town, the road to Glenorchy winds along one of New Zealand's most scenic drives. Snow-capped peaks reflect in still waters, ancient beech forests blanket the valleys, and wide open meadows stretch toward distant mountains. It's no surprise that filmmakers chose this remarkable landscape to represent the mythical realms of Middle-earth. Yet even in a destination famous for adventure, moments of quiet beauty are never far away. Sheep graze peacefully across rolling hills, horses wander through golden fields, and native birds call from the surrounding forests. As evening settles over Lake Wakatipu, the mountains cast long reflections across the water, replacing excitement with complete tranquility. Queenstown and Aoraki reveal two sides of the same extraordinary landscape, one filled with exhilarating adventure, the other with timeless serenity. Together, they capture the spirit of New Zealand, wild, unforgettable, and endlessly inspiring before the journey reaches its magnificent finale. Some journeys end with a destination. Others end with a feeling. Milford Sound is both. Hidden deep within Fiordland National Park, this breathtaking fjord is where towering mountains plunge almost vertically into dark waters, creating one of the most dramatic landscapes on the planet. The road here is an adventure of its own, winding through ancient forests, alpine valleys, and the famous Homer Tunnel before revealing a scene that feels almost impossible to describe. Rain falls often in Milford Sound, but it only adds to its beauty. After every storm, hundreds of temporary waterfalls pour down the cliffs, transforming the entire fjord into a living masterpiece. Out on the water, the wilderness feels untouched. New Zealand fur seals rest quietly on rocky shores. Pods of dusky dolphins race alongside passing boats, and during the right season, the rare Fiordland crested penguin emerges from the dense coastal forest. Every encounter feels unexpected, a reminder that nature still rules this remote corner of the world. Towering above it all is Mitre Peak, rising more than 1,600 meters, almost directly from the sea. Wrapped in drifting mist and reflected in the still water below, it has become one of New Zealand's most iconic natural landmarks. Here, silence is never truly empty. It is filled with the sound of rain, cascading waterfalls, and the distant calls of seabirds echoing across the cliffs. As the boat slowly turns back towards shore, Milford Sound leaves behind more than unforgettable views. It leaves a lasting sense of wonder, a reminder that even in an age of satellites and modern cities, there are still places where nature remains vast, untamed, and profoundly humbling. And perhaps that is the true spirit of New Zealand, a land where every journey ends with the desire to begin another. The journey may be over, but New Zealand still holds countless stories waiting beyond the horizon. Every mountain, every coastline, and every hidden valley has a history that no single film could ever fully capture. Which place amazed you the most? Was it the glowing caves beneath the earth, the towering peaks of Aoraki, or the breathtaking beauty of Milford Sound? Let us know in the comments. I'd love to hear which destination earned a place on your own travel bucket list. If you enjoy discovering extraordinary places through cinematic documentaries, there's another unforgettable journey waiting for you. Until then, thank you for traveling with us, and keep exploring, because the world's greatest wonders are often the ones you've never heard of.